of you here today. On behalf of the Peace and Justice Center of Eastern Maine and Pax Christi, Maine, we welcome you to this gathering. I'm Mary Ellen Quinn. I'm the co-coordinator for Pax Christi, Maine, which is the Catholic Peace and Justice Movement. Stefano Tiarina, the director of the Peace and Justice Center, is not available today. He's actually in Germany at a conference this week, but he sends his warmest regards. Karen, Mary's daughter of the Peace and Justice Center, who was an integral part of the planning effort of this event, along with a very active group of planners, are all here today. We feel so blessed to have over 40 local organizations and faith communities joined us to co-sponsor End Violence Together. Thank you. Give them a hand. I wanted you to know that this gathering today is part of a national Campaign Nonviolence Week of Actions. Campaign Nonviolence is gathering momentum across the globe. This coming week, in recognition of the International Day of Peace, over 600 nonviolent actions will take place in all 50 states and in 17 countries. Your presence here today is part of a much larger effort. Campaign Nonviolence is a movement whose purpose is to mainstream nonviolence in ourselves, our community, our country, and the world. This is quite a wind tunnel, isn't it? People everywhere, including yourselves, are working hard and working together to build a new culture of peace and nonviolence. The ever-expanding epidemic of violence is always present. We see it in endless war, pervasive racism, poverty, domestic violence, police assaults, mass shootings, and the destruction of air, earth, its waterways, and so much more. The culture of violence and injustice has an enormous impact on our youth. We are so pleased to have a number of young adults here today who will share their experience with you. Our youth are truly our hope for a new paradigm, a new vision for a just and peaceful world. I know all of you would agree that change is needed. Change, significant change, true and lasting culture change will require each of us as individuals and all of us as a collective to resist violence at every level, to practice nonviolence ourselves, and to implement nonviolent solutions as we move forward together. Working together, we can build a culture of peace and nonviolence in which all people across the globe and our planet will flourish and thrive and be sustained for generations to come. Thank you for being here today. I want to give you our itinerary. At this time, we will have our speakers, many of whom will be sharing their experience through their poetry. We are grateful to have Women with Wings, led by Linda Kaler with us today to share their hearts in song. Thank you also to Peter Baldwin for keeping the heartbeat of this gathering with his mother drum. Following the singing, we'll begin the march and we'll leave West Market Square, making a 1-mile loop through the downtown area. During the march, please be sure to stay on the sidewalks. We need to obey the traffic signals and maintain a nonviolent attitude. We'll return here to the square for a closing ceremony. So please stick with us. It's going to be a great afternoon. Our first group of speakers are exceptional students from Bangor High School. They are Bon Shokir, Sophia Whitman, and Margot Roberts. I hope you're on your way up here. And we'll also, in the first group of speakers, hear from Jamar Wilkins, who is the student body president at Penobscot Job Corps. Please welcome them.
Hi everyone, my name is Ban Shokir. I'm from Bangor High School, and today I will be speaking about my experience with racism. So, مرحبا, أنا اسمي بان. Hello, my name is Ban. أنا خلقت بنيويورك وأهلي خلقوا بلبنان. I was born in New York and my parents were born in Lebanon. عربي كان الأول لغة لإلي. Arabic was my first language. When you look at me, you'll notice I'm darker than some. My hair is as dark as the night sky, my skin is painted in a rich caramel color, and my larger facial features emphasize my character. I was raised by my Lebanese parents, immigrants from the Middle East. I'm Muslim. I speak Arabic. I fast during the holy month of Ramadan, but note that I don't wear a hijab. It's optional. At the same time, I'm an honors student. I'm part of my civil rights team at school. I sing and write to share my voice. And today I'm sharing it with all of you. I hope you'll listen. I'm a Muslim American, bathed in my Lebanese culture, and accented with my American mannerisms. I believe in God. I believe in equality. I believe in peace. I believe in Islam. In 5th grade, I was called a terrorist by my classmates. I laughed along with them because I didn't know what they meant. The 10-year-old girl they called a terrorist would never cause harm to anybody. I went home and I questioned my identity and who I was, because at 10 years old you barely know who you are, and people were already shaping who I was for me. I was lost, I was confused, and I didn't know what to believe. I knew I was a Muslim, and I believed that God existed, but my classmates didn't seem to understand that I was just as human as they were, and my beliefs weren't so different from theirs. Our morals were still the same, yet they labeled me as someone with none. In 7th grade, I transferred to a Catholic school here in Maine. Transferring to a school is scary for any teenage girl, but for me, it wasn't because I was just a new girl. I was the new Muslim girl that would be asked several questions about my religion. I would be asked why 9/11 happened. I would feel alone in our weekly masses because I didn't take communion, and I didn't know what church was really like. I would be asked to give a presentation about my religion, and my first sentence would be, Muslims are not terrorists. From the age of 10, I've had to defend myself because of my religion. The amount of times I've had to defend my faith is more than anybody ever would, because I'm not only sick of myself being labeled, I'm sick of everyone else who has to go through what I go through every day. It's not right. The media has thrown the people of the Islamic faith under the bus over and over, to the point where I'm sometimes scared to let my friends know I'm a Muslim. Because I know deep down the first thing that will come to some is that Muslims are horrible people, and it's my worst fear to be viewed as a horrible person. I am not what the media portrays me to be. Islam is not what the media portrays it to be. Allahu Akbar is not a chant for terrorism. The actual translation is God is great. And because God is great and good, God is against terrorism. I'm against terrorism. True believers of the Islamic faith are against terrorism. Anybody who believes in taking the life of another goes against any faith, whether it be Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, or Hinduism. It goes against being a good person. So again, marhaba, ana ismi Ban. Hello, my name is Ban. Ana Muslim Amerique. I'm an American Muslim. Ana bashar. I'm human. Ana mithlkun. I'm just like you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sophia Whitman, and I'm also at Bangor High School, and today I'll be talking about sexual assault and rape. My unbiological sister, for the first decade of my life, was taught at age 4 that playing doctor was synonymous for letting the older sibling of a friend violate her in a walk-in closet. The boy who fixed my slalom form had just started kindergarten when his teenage babysitter began a multi-year sexual attack on him. An older sister figure in my life had almost completed her elementary school experience when a boy locked her in a storage room and attacked her so violently she physically bled. A longtime family friend had recently entered her teenage years when her ex-boyfriend ignored her nose and left her there unable to move. We are not your perfect victims. Our skirts were not too short, our bloodstreams weren't flowing with alcohol, and yet we were forced to live through our metaphorical deaths and find ways to self-resurrect after. We are your real victims standing next to you right now as survivors. But never has anyone been more ashamed to claim the title survivor. And when we look around our classrooms, we cannot help but see the 3 girls and 1 boy in every middle school homeroom, the 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men who'll be assaulted during their college years, the ridiculously high number of parents who may one day have to receive that phone call from their child if something doesn't change. I can no longer count the number of times certain categories of people have been given safety instructions to not get raped, instead of teaching every child growing up the meaning of consent. Because as Robin Thicke sang in the summer of 2013, there seem to be blurred lines. But this is simply not the case. Our educational systems are failing if we truly have people growing up who believe that the lines of consent are blurred. If they say no, stop. If they say maybe, stop. If they are drunk or high or in any way incapable of making choices they would make when sober, stop. Consent is yes. Consent is yes without harassment or threats. Consent is yes and only yes. Rape is rape and only rape. Rape is not sex without consent, because that would no longer be sex, that it would be simply rape. As human beings, we tend to disassociate and say, oh, I won't get raped, that won't be me. But no amount of I'll be safe can prevent another person from attacking you, and we see it every day, even when we try not to. I look around my classes and see the girls terrified to attend their dream schools because of the high assault rates, 1 in 5. Imagine getting the acceptance letter and having it end with, oh, by the way, we can almost guarantee that either you or one of your friends will be raped during your time here. No child, no person should have to have this fear, and yet we see it all around us because rapists do not discriminate, not by age, gender, race, not by anything. And in the year 2016, it is time that we end this problem. Let's teach our rapists not to rape instead of teaching victims to stay safe. Let's teach consent throughout life so that no one must face the same experiences we have. Let's start supporting our survivors instead of asking them why they didn't fight back, why they didn't yell louder, why they didn't yell. Let's take the pledge at it'sonus.org to recognize and identify sexual assault, to intervene in situations where consent has not and cannot been given, and to create an environment in which sexual assault is unacceptable and survivors are supported. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Margot Roberts, and this is a poem on my experience in viewing environmental racism in a community in Boston. Geography lesson. There is pain in a parking lot. Under the smooth pebbling of asphalt and yellow lines lies an unmarked grave of asbestos. A foamy mountain, gray and mottled with fiber, growing up and out, melting under Air Jordans and palms sticky with Elmer's glue. They ignore the itchy, swollen lump in the middle of Dudley Square, next to the Candyland houses and the eco-friendly condos with glass doors and drawn shades. The mushy Catskill trickles into the gutter, creeps up the steps and into the mailbox, laughing IRS eviction notice. Paper crumbles like ash. Ash like the black exhaust that sighs out of the school bus and into the cracks of the windows of the homes that are at the wrong place at the wrong time. The city's apathy sticks to the lungs, wraps itself into a lump of coal that sits at the bottom of the throat, humming to the Caterpillar D9L bulldozer ripping down the mom and pop bodega next door. And the park you need permission to sit in, next to the police station that is 2 miles away from the next police station, is a gravestone. Grass grows over the knife that was left in Roxbury's dirt, rust from 2004 bleeding into pavement, feeding the spirit of the community garden on the next block. A city block on fire, slowly collapsing into itself as a new Dunkin' Donuts appears on the corner. Smoke suffocates and fire destroys, but out of the soot shoots an ashy hand, reaching for sun and grappling hooks and apartment keys, 5 fingers gripping loose soil and not letting go. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamar Wilkins. Today, I would like to talk with you all about how violence has affected my life. Since a young age, I've seen violence all around me. I've seen firsthand how violence has tainted people's lives. I've seen the individuals with bright futures and college aspirations lose focus on their goals and fall into street violence and the gang lifestyle. I have witnessed people whom I've grown up with, who I played games with, turn on each other as adults, going as far as wanting to shoot each other and stab each other just because they joined different gangs. I asked myself, how was I able to avoid this lifestyle? How was I able to escape it? How did I prevent spreading this mentality further? I feel mostly that I was able to avoid the violence and gang lifestyle by staying in school, making choices that were best in my interests, and staying away from those people. The gangs took a lot from me. I had to stay inside more and avoid people who were once my friends. I watched as those around me fall deeper into the gang lifestyle as some of my former friends started getting arrested and going to jail. The sad truth was that the community that I lived in glorified this lifestyle and considered it to be cool if the police were called to your home. Prison didn't change the choices that these people made. Once they would be released, they would continue their violent behavior all over again. So I decided that in order to stop this cycle, I needed to take a stance and get involved. I felt that it was my responsibility to help educate others about the problems that violence can have on themselves, their schools, and their communities. I was able to get involved in my school's youth-to-youth program to help educate others about why violence is wrong and how we can take a stand together. Youth to Youth is a student-led organization with a mission of decreasing violence at our school and in our community. Each year, 22% of young people witness a shooting, and 27% of people are bullied in schools. These numbers are far too high, and together we can take a stand against this. Eleanor Roosevelt said, quote, it isn't enough to talk about peace, one must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it, one must work at it, unquote. We are all here today because we believe that there is some work that we can do to improve our community and help bring an end to violence. I hope that everyone here today will take something away from today's events and share with others how we can work together and stand against violence and stop the cycle. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your powerful messages. We really appreciate your presence here today. Our second group of speakers includes two people who are writers, poets, and activists, Jules Hathaway and Jim Mello. We will also hear for Amberine Reina, who is the Youth Outreach Coordinator at Health Equity Alliance. And finally, some words of wisdom from Peter Baldwin as we move forward. Please welcome them.
Hi, my name's Jules. It says Julia on my birth certificate, but when I started reading my poetry, I've switched to Jules. Have you ever had a day that you had to wear something really uncomfortable, like to work or for a funeral or a present? Raise your hand if you've ever had to wear something really uncomfortable and then come home and slipped into something you really... That was what changing from Julia to Jules meant for me, because I'm gender fluid. And a lot of my friends are trans, bi, gay, lesbian. As a group, we've had a lot of violence. I've known people who have been bullied really badly by people in their school or by other people. I've known people who have been bullied by their own families. I myself lost my virginity to a friend of my mother's who stalked me with the sole purpose of taking my virginity when I was very young, and told me that if I didn't do what he wanted, he'd cut my throat with a fish gutting knife, which was a point at which I decided that staying alive was a more important virtue. But what I want to give you today is a message of hope. Big things like this day are wonderful, but every day in our lives, as we go about our lives as parents, children, school people, workers, just the littlest of gestures that we can do can help to make a less violent world. And I'd like to read to you a poem that I wrote about a very special moment that happened. Around a carefully tended bonfire, some of the men of the neighborhood sit, enjoying a companionable silence, interspersed with comments only now and then. They don't feel the need to disarm quiet by so much clutter talk. Then I arrive and they greet me with welcome and respect. I bring a small bag of trinkets for the children who run to see what I have. One little girl with a gleam in her eye goes to fill up the squirt gun. Several kids discover that smoke from the fire can alter the way parachuting small critters descend. A calculator elicits cries of wow and cool. A little boy adorns himself with pink, purple, and silver necklaces, announcing that he loves beads. The man tending the fire comments that he would surely love Mardi Gras, and the other adults agree. So simple, so profound, so eloquent. The children in our lives are always learning for what we say and do. That fortunate child was not being told that beads are for girls and he is wrong to desire them. Now I'm looking forward to a day when the rest of this nation catches up with these men, resting after a day of hard work, enjoying a companionable silence around a carefully tended bonfire.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm actually more poet than activist at this point in my life, but Stefano's been dragging me out to activist activities to read poetry. So I'm thankful for the opportunity. I also want to say I wasn't prepared to do this, but I am a survivor of child sexual abuse when I was just 10 years old. There are poems I've written about it, but I'm not prepared to read today. So I appreciate your courage saying things out loud. In my generation, we didn't say these things out loud. All this beauty. Somehow I think beauty is one of the weapons against violence. All this beauty in earth and air and sky. All this eye-stabbing beauty. And the disease of conquering spreads across the whole earth like bleeding ink. All this useless beauty. Pastel sunsets, the riot of flowers, the gallery of clouds, while megalomania blossoms like weeds. All this denial of beauty, robbing man of joy and God of glory. All this chase to capture beauty, almost wasted, were it not for the chosen few. Full Moon Rise, July 2016, poem about the shift to the right. Watching the full moon rise, end of the day, end of the road, where the railroad track crosses the industrial park entrance. Moon shifting slightly to the right every 15 minutes, like the country, home watching the Republican National Convention. The nominated couple, the epitome of the current American fantasy, independently rich, eternally magazine beautiful, moving to the right, like the world tilting toward unhealable violence. The brilliant moon eye cannot blink away. I'd like to read two more quickly. First one is for my transgendering brother. The poem reflects some of my ambivalence and challenge to deal with his change, her change. So there's some pronoun confusion. Some of that's been inside of me. Hermaphrodite, he is not my sister. As part of her emerging self, my brother unfolds for me the Greek myth of a love so intense that Hermes and Aphrodite become one dual-gendered flesh. I'm a female with a penis, she explains. Neurons explode, search for circuitry to connect with, are left to pioneer new pathways heretofore uncharted by cultural norms, biblical parameters, personal history. Grounded in the Big Bang of our traumatized family, her articulations deep, profound, ear-shattering, paradigm-shaking, myth-challenging, penetrate sleeping gray matter, awaken dimensions of soul, anguished, yet triumphant. Ray announces she's happy. To my textual inquiry about general well-being, what is identity? What is sexual identity? Who knows what a few rearranged DNA molecules could produce? Where is the God of my former understanding? Whence Hermes, Aphrodite? From what Christian hooks can these questions dangle? Her, his heart as tender as grace. Voice pitched between fraternal familiarity and sororital nurturance assures me what may be lost in brotherly affection may be replaced by feminine nurturance in this parallel process of mind midlife becoming, full of messianic secrets and longing for fulfillment. It's already been mentioned, the hope is in the future. This is a poem when the first time I held my granddaughter, who's just turned 3, September 5th. It's called Holding Isabel. To look into her 3-week-old, often sleeping, dream-filled face is to peer into serenity. To study her tiny hands and fragile, perfect fingers, just bigger than a porcelain doll's, is to imagine growth's miracles. To feel her weight from head crooked and elbow to frog dangling legs is to see solid ground. To sing to her resting soul improvised songs intent on comfort is to bless the future. To witness her spastic discomforts, occasional grimaces, thrusts, turns, writhings is to be reminded of reality. To see her lying breathlessly still in undisturbed sleep fearlessly is to witness trust. To kiss her innocent cheek before she knows kisses' meanings is to plant love in the garden of hope. Namaste.
Thank you so much, both of you. Is Umberine here? She will be our next person.
Anybody?
Okay, Peter, why don't you come forward? Let me say now that after Peter gives us some words of wisdom, I'm going to ask the women with wings to come towards the front here and lead us in song. Women with Wings will do some music with us, and then following that segment we will begin the march. Some of our young people have agreed to lead the march, and they will be forming the line right out there at Main Street. It's just a 1-mile loop, so please join us. Thank you.
Thank you for fitting me in, Mary Ellen. And I was reflecting this morning, well, what's the use going to another demonstration? And then I was thinking about all the constituents of our community that do not give up. You know, the Native Americans have not given up, the African Americans have not given up, the women suffragettes did not give up. Real change sometimes takes a long time. And this morning on the internet, this popped up, and I wanted to just share it. These are the ingredients of a local peace economy and the ingredients of perseverance. 1, the power of imagination. Albert Einstein said, logic will get you from A to B, imagination will take you everywhere. 2, the power of desire. Jeanette Winterson said, for me, imagination and desire are very close. 3, the power of knowledge. R.D. Laing said, the range of what we think and do is limited by what we fail to notice. And because we fail to notice, there is little we can do to change until we notice how failing to notice shapes our thoughts and deeds. 4, the power of courage. Rosa Parks said, knowing what must be done does away with fear. 5, the power of truth-telling. Langston Hughes said, all these walls that oppression builds will have to go. 6, the power of connecting. A Sufi saying said, you think you understand one, you think you understand two, but because one and one make two, but you must also understand and. 7, the power of commitment. Rilke said, be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves. 8, Maya Angelou, the power of creation. Maya Angelou said, we come from the Creator with creativity. Each one of us is born with creativity. 9, The power of change, Leonard Cohen said, forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And 10, the power of love. Cornel West said, justice is what love looks like in public. And Erica Huggins said, love is an expression of power. We can use it to transform the world.
Some say namaste, others say aloha matakuyasin. Some say om, others say shalom. We all call Mother Earth our home. Protect her, respect her, give her love, don't neglect her. Protect her, respect her, give her love, don't neglect her. People of the Earth tribe, rise up, rise up. People of the Earth tribe, Okay, perk it up. I honor the divine that's within. Little perk. We're gonna perk it. I honor the divine that's within your soul. Please honor the divine within me. Each of us holds a source of all being. When we all see this, we shall live in peace. I honor the divine that's within your soul. Please honor the divine within me. Each of us holds the source of all being. When we all see this, we shall live in peace. I honor the divine that's within your soul. Please honor the divine within me. Each of us holds a source of all being. When we all see this, we shall live in peace. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun. We are the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are dawning. We are the rising sun.
Right now, it's in its early stages. I have some wood I can probably down. Well, if it ever comes down